Howdy, folks. Welcome back to Deck Check. We're back. Woo!
Woo!
Can I get a
That
hello from the
that was on sync.
We're beautiful. It was delayed, I think, because Discord, but I'm glad it sounded on sync for you. For me, it was like an echo, but it was beautiful. But yes, we are back with Deck Check now that we actually have some decks to review outside of stuff. We've gone through most of these sort of like profiles that we wanted to kind of toss out there as ideas for starting points for people to kind of find comfortable spots to start with the meta. We're also probably gonna do a tier list as we get closer to 22's actual drop, or like maybe like the weekend of 22's drop. EX9 is going to be such a short meta that it's just kind of hard for us to kind of like discern where things are going to stand. So we figured we'll just wait till then to kind of go through and give our thoughts on where we think things are going to stand in the meta. But before we jump into the actual meat and potatoes here, just want to say thank you to all of our members for supporting us. Thank you guys for uplifting us handsome boys on the channel. Well, the other handsome boys. I'm just a boy, but
Whoa! Hold your horses.
Whoa.
You don't talk about.
Actually, right now we're just handsome bubbles. We're just two bubbles, two bubbles floating in the ether, the digital ether. Yes, thank you guys, and to anyone who sees this when it goes public, and thereafter, thank you for checking it out. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. This is our usual series where we go through and we review decks that have topped that are listed on Digimon Card Meta, and yeah, just that's it. That's all the things. Let's go ahead and let's just jump right into
Kick it off.
So, starting things off, we have an Alter Aztec profile. And this is one that I saw this list and I was like, okay, there's like 3 different builds for Alter S right now. The first one is Omni DNA Alter S, right? Where we're running the like Gabu and Agu package, stuff like that, and just doing the whole like Warp Evo shenanigans, but we run Alter S instead of Ace Omni for part of the top end package. There is good old faithful EX4 Alter S, which is like the black base, like that just sort of revolves around ping-ponging back and forth between 2 stacks. That's still really cool, but it's so piece reliant that it tends to be extremely inconsistent, and so it's kind of scary to use sometimes. And then we have the new DM base. The new Alter S does have the DM trait. He has a version 1 and version 2 traded card. And so yeah, that's kind of the idea here. And so this is the DM build, which I'm very excited to kind of go over here. This list was ran by Barrel TCG over in JP. Went 4-0 at Tamer Battle. Got first place, which is pretty sick. And the list is really cool. So we utilize a lot of the standard DM rookies with Agu and Gabu, just as like sort of our key searchers, which is really nice. The Sunomon Egg is very good for whenever face down cards are placed in your sources. You can digivolve into a version 2 trait card with the cost reduced by 1. Which is pretty solid since we are running a decent chunk of version 2 trait cards with the Metal Mamemon, Angemon the Kabuteri, and Kreskaruru Ace. Anything with like a white brick border is basically version 2. So that's really cool. We see the Abbadomon in here just for extra jamming, I guess, and probably just to have a training rookie in there. Angemon and Kabuteri are both really strong DM cards. Angemon being able to give Sec -1 and -3 KDP is really nice. Kabuteri being able to lock something down is really good. Monochromon, which we have recently played around with. This card's cracked. This card's actually so good to Evo in the back. Just having access to, like, when attacking the Digivolve on a level 4 with a blocker inherit is just really, really strong. So he's really cool. The Devimon's a really cool card. Just being able to pop something, based on, like, level 3 or lower. Or, sorry, yeah, level 3 or lower. And then for every 2 face-down sources, you can add one of that effect's level maximum. It's pretty cool. It's pretty nice. Retail in here is nice too. And then jumping to the 5s, this is the one place where I wonder if it's actually the Digitamamon, because we are running for the Metal Mame, so that makes me think that this might actually be Mamemon from the set. The Mamemon who basically on Evo or on play, you reveal top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can play out 1 play cost 4 or lower DM trait card. Without paying the cost, but for every face down Digivolution card you have, you can add 1 to that effects levels max, or yeah, that play cost maximum. So you can very quickly spit out play cost 7 or lower things like your Kreskaruru Ace and Blitzgray Ace, which pretty much sets you up in a state to, like, you'll spit out the free level 6, be able to get their on play effect, and they can evo into, you know, one or the other, and then do the whole thing, which is cool. It's really, really neat. You know, you'll have the turn effects that let you go into Alter S, which will give you immunity and do some cool stuff. This is a list that I'm actually going to try at some point. It's close to this, assuming this is actually the Mamemon. I'm really thinking it is. Because Digitama is cool, but he just plays a level 4 lower DM trait Digimon card, and it just kind of feels like a weird middle spot. Like, you have some powerful cards you can play out, but you're not going to be able to kind of make the full, you know, not basically slam down to level 6. You're going to have to build up another stack, which just kind of feels a little bit slower maybe, but if it is what they're doing, then they made it work, then maybe I'm wrong. But aside from that, just other powerful cards as well, and the brand new Omnimon Ultra S. You know, this guy is just cracked. I don't know why his card image is so small. Sorry about that. But, you know, on Evo of DNA, your opponent's effects don't affect him for the turn. And then he deletes everything with the highest level. And then end of attack, you can play one card with Greymon in name or version 1 trait, and one card with Garurumon in name or version 2 trait from his sources without paying the cost. And if you do play off of that effect, you go ahead and put him into security as the top card. Which, I mean, just setting up a 15k body on top of security can be really, really nice sometimes for certain decks to kind of just chip through maybe their protections or risk them not being able to swing as safely. And then Analog Youth, Meat, it's good cards. Analog Man is a one of just for that memory setter. If you see it, it's pretty good. File Island. This is a card that I've actually been looking at more and more as I've been playing with DM-based stuff, because it does give you plus 1k for each of your face-down Digivolution cards, which means you can pretty quickly climb like DP amounts like pretty handedly. So that's something I've been looking into to just try to find space to maybe toss like 1 or 2 in, and it also can just kind of give you sort of a last-minute Hail Mary. If it's the bottom security card, you know, to let you play something, play a DM trait card from your hand or trash that's play cost 5 or lower. So potentially spit out like Monochrome, Digivolve something, maybe steal turn if it's an ace, right? Or, you know, spit out one of your level 4s to lock something down, give sec -1. It actually makes a lot of sense with these guys here, because these are both very defensive pieces that kind of lock down your opponent's board. So cool cards, neat deck. I'm definitely looking forward to kind of like messing around with this myself and seeing where things go. And I'll report back as soon as I have ideas. But congrats to you, Beryl. We'll go ahead and jump into the next list here.
Yeah, next list is puppets. Kaguyumon is a new top end that we got for the puppets with EX9, and it's been doing some pretty neat things, and it's been cool to see a lot of people test. I know fellow DigiTubers, DigiDread has put out a deck profile, so if you haven't checked that one out yet, please do check it out. He's got great stuff on there, and he is definitely a puppet expert, so I definitely would listen to his advice there. BB Dudes also has been messing around with puppets on DCGO, which has been really cool to watch too. But yeah, this one was piloted by Daniel K over in New Zealand. Got first place at a Tamer battle. And I think we're starting to see sort of the emergence of like a pretty, I wouldn't say like solved recipe for the core, but like this is a pretty standard core with your egg lineup with the Kyaromon from the starter deck. Again, draw power and just consistency is really, really good. Your Shumons, promo Shumon, promo 134, giving check -1 to your board, to your opponent's board state is always really annoying and frustrating to deal with. And when attacking, giving something -2k again stacks up with some of your DP negging shenanigans, which helps you kind of cross certain thresholds.
Yeah.
And then your starter Shumon for search, and then the EX7 Shumon again to help with efficient evolution cost are pretty much always there. And then we get the addition of the Hanimon from EX9. By trashing a card, you can return one with puppet trait from trash to hand. Again, just helps with consistency. But the biggest thing I think is the inheritable here, which is where puppets has really upgraded with EX9, is being able to stop an attack by deleting one of your other Digimon. You just stop it. The attack just ends. It doesn't like get redirected. It doesn't whatever. It just like nope, it's done. Yep. You know, we kind of see that with the Kokeshimon. We also see Karukurumon, which is the level 5 here, the inheritable to delete one of your tokens or other puppet traits to prevent basically like your Digimon from leaving the field. There's like a pseudo protections that's written in the inheritable, which is really, really nice. Yeah. And you can do some really funny shenanigans with the 3 and 4 inherits, and then pair that with Karakurumon to help really just freeze your board down and not. You can sequence some really neat things. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say without getting too complicated with it. And then to go into the big baddie herself with Kaguyumon, giving all of your tokens and puppet trait blocker alliance is so nasty. When you think about how quickly this deck tends to wideboard, having stuff spawn out in the blink of an eye, and then the next turn, if you don't deal with that board state, all of them have alliance, and like it's just wild. Like the
Yeah,
amount of aggression you get so fast is crazy.
very good card.
And then all turns being able to say, look, when other Digimon are deleted. Now, note that this doesn't specify your Digimon or your opponent's Digimon. It's just other Digimon are deleted. You delete one of your opponent's lowest level Digimon. Again, a sneaky way to help deal with your opponent's board states if you can sequence things out. And then end of your turn, you just spam out more tokens, right? So this amasses
Not-
such a wide board.
Not tokens. You play level 4 or puppet traits.
Sorry, puppet trait Digimon,
Yeah.
which is even better.
Yeah.
Even better. But you know, in the blink of an eye, this board can go from like 1 or 2 bodies to like 5 or 6, like in the blink of an eye, and it's really, really scary. I think the deck is going to be really, really strong moving forward. And yeah, no, it's going to be really neat to see puppets finally get the support that it deserves, because it's been sort of left behind. In past sets, a lot of the Liberator archetypes had a lot more support.
Yeah.
And now it's nice to see Puppet finally get the appropriate, strong, and long-lasting support here.
Yeah, because I think puppets always sort of had that, like, they had that aggression. They could do pretty good damage, but they were just typically a little bit too slow to do it consistently, I feel like. Because you had protections, you had like overclock and stuff like that, but now having a solid defensive piece with Kaguya and all the new like sources of level 3s and 4s is just so strong. So good. It gives you more consistent board control. Also, I like the flame hellside attack in here. That's neat.
Yeah.
It is really cool. Okay. On the next. Okay. Next up, we have a Machine Dramon list here. Purple base. It's running some interesting pieces. This was run by Mataka over in JP, who got first place at the Tamer Battle. Congrats to you. So we see the sort of standard lineup for like the eggs, right, with the BT15 Demi-Mera. This is just like one of the best cards for purple base. It is the best card for purple base machine. You know, to trash level 5 or higher, which you run a lot of. You know, to draw 2, just good for consistency, all that stuff. The neat thing at the bottom here though is we are running the Gizumon from BT13, the whole sort of like Belphamon sort of bottom end engine here for a little bit of extra kind of draw and trash cycle. It also works really well being able to, you know, use the Gizumon AT and pop your Candlemon to potentially, you know, either draw a card or gain a memory depending on where the memory stuff is at. So there's some neat stuff you can do here. You typically won't always gain the memory because that's only if your opponent has 1 or more memory. So just it's neat stuff. It's cool things. But yeah, so it's very neat sort of I take on the sort of purple base, because typically we see people running like the Gabus from the Melga starter deck, the purple ones, or we see like the EX7 Kyokomon, or not Kyoko.
Right.
No, it's Kyoko. Yeah, the shell guy, Kyoko.
It's Kyoko. Yeah.
Who, you know, lets you draw one trash one on deletion. That works really well just with extra cycling. So I'm curious to see how this works. I haven't tested this myself yet, but I think it's a neat idea. Being able to cycle out Gizu's ATs and stuff like that off the Gizu is really cool. And then moving on to level 5 lineup, we see a lot of different tech choices here. So we see, of course, they're running like one of each of the new cyborgs, which are all really powerful new cards. We also have one of the Ultras mode in here as well, which is also a very, very powerful card. The new cyborgs are really good for just sort of like cost-effective, like early play where you can pitch a cyborg or their respective version trade card from hand to reduce play cost by 2, and then you get their on-play effect, which they basically set themselves up by the card they trash. We do have 2 Megadramon in here because this card, Megadramon, is just like probably the best level 5 out there, next to like, I don't know. I thought Andromon initially was going to be a lot stronger than he's sort of shown up, but the DP reduction so far has always been just a little bit short of actually mattering. But it does linger to the end of your opponent's turn, so that's something to keep in mind that can be pretty helpful. But this Megadramon being able to pop 2 Digimon that are play cost 4 or lower, and then you add 1 to that maximum for each face down card is just really, really good for helping control wider boards, which we are seeing a fair amount of, you know, arise. But one of the really cool things we're seeing in this list is the use of the EX4 Mach Galgamon, because now the new Machine Dramon doesn't look specifically for red or black level 5 cyborgs. All of the previous pieces always looked specifically for color. Even I think Chaos Dramon also looks for red and or black cards. But the new Machine Dramon just looks for cyborgs for assembly. Doesn't care about the colors. So this opens
realize
up, yes, it opens up the avenues of play to use a lot of different cyborgs that were, typically locked off to other colors, right? Like the purple Wargrowl from BT5 is another option. Of course, the Mock Algamon's there
Right.
for just an unsuspend. So you have a lot of like other really cool tools that you can kind of play around with, utilizing that new assembly effect, which is just another reason why the new Machine Dramon is just so good on top of so many other reasons. But even like the Wargrowl X here is another good example too, where red purple. Well, I guess red purple, so you'd be able to use them typically. But like another kind of cool kind of tech choice in here for extra Sec +1. They actually have a lot of Sec +1 inherits. With the Metal Gray, the Volcano, the other Metal Gray, Wargrowl X, just giving us a lot of aggression. And then we have multiple unsuspends as well. Just a couple of tech choices in there to kind of help give us either DP boost or protection. The old BT7 Metal Gray is also a really nice card. He's effectively acts like one of the new cyborgs, where if you have a Tamer in play, you gain 2 memory on play. If you don't, you play a Red Tamer card. We don't have Red Tamer, so that part doesn't matter, but being another like 5-drop is just kind of nice. Just having more access to cheap level 5s to play, to potentially Evo into if we're trying to get around things like, Valderarm, for example. Obviously, you won't be able to activate his on-play in that, but you still use things like Supreme Connection and stuff like that to costs reduced. So that's all there. The Machine Dramon, of course, just a really powerful card. I kind of went over him, but his just protections are really good. Having on-play, on Evo, and when attacking on the same effect to just help utilize your cyborg's effects is really good, especially with the removal we are offered with the new cyborgs, and just some of the more recent ones we've had in general are just really powerful. But you can utilize this effect in a lot of cool ways. And then, the old Analog Boys actually, or Analog Youth, is really neat. I wonder if this is actually the correct card or if it's meant to be the other one. I think this is the machine list that I saw that was running 4 of this one, where they basically were just using the Analog Youth to go ahead and just try and ramp up as fast as they could to get their trash going. Not too worried about, like, if they lost sources or whatnot. Although he is more viable now because you do have level 5s that you can play with sources. Because of the new androids, cyborgs. So that's cool there too. New Analog Man is really powerful for just gaining memory and draw whenever you play a 7 cost or higher cyborg machine or whatever. And then Heavy Mobile Supreme Connection, just really powerful option card. So cool list. It's another variant. Like, Machine just has so many different like routes to take right now that I'm really excited to see what people cook and where they go with it. And just the meta will develop as we go. And we'll go ahead and jump onto the last deck here because I yapped too much. I'm sorry.
Last deck is Abbadomon, piloted by Nirsu over in JP. This got first place at a Tabern battle. So congratulations to you there. Abado's been really fun. I gotta thank TJ for kind of getting me on the hype train for it. And I think the more I actually kind of think about the deck, the more I do enjoy it as sort of like a neat pet project. If you haven't checked out the match play that we had, where you can see me learn it in real time and blunder my way through the match,
Old Faithful.
you check it out.
Old Faithful Misplay Coliseum is what the people call us sometimes.
But essentially, right, like what we see here, I think is a pretty solid core for Abado, with a couple of neat spicy choices.
Yeah.
Your Soundboard and your Eismon, I think, are pretty standard. Most folks are running 4/4. I tinkered around with maybe like doing 3 of the regular Eismon to kind of up some more tech choices, but I think this is a pretty solid start. The scatter mode, you're pretty much at your fancy of how many you want to run. I've seen decks run as little as 12, which I feel like is a little bit on the lower side.
Yeah, it scares me.
And we've seen decks where you're running 20, as we see here, right? But this scatter mode is essentially your engine to get draw power, but also set up your trash with the right amount of stuff that's needed in there to kind of do your shenanigans. And more often than not, you're playing this guy for a very, very cheap cost. Late game could be potentially free. Early game, it's not a bad 3-drop just to get some cycle going and trash setup. The rare, we've talked about at length, is a really, really good level 5. Being able to cycle itself out potentially is really, really good. And having access to Digivolve is always a very key component in a successful defensive deck. I have been enlightened by the comments from our match play video that you can also play out Abado off a rare,
yeah,
which I'm like, mind was blown when
Oh,
I read that. I'm like,
you didn't know.
I did not know that.
Oh,
So I
well,
could
now
have
you
been
do.
playing Abado during our match play, but
Yeah,
I was not.
admittedly, Abado doesn't do too much immediately on play. He's just really good for the end of all
Right,
turns.
right, right. You
But
can
yeah.
still do it. I think it's nice as like a removal piece, right? Like end of turn, just slot something and pop something.
Yeah,
Even
if
if
you
you
know-
don't have
if you
the
know he's
core out in
safe.
play.
You know he's safe.
Yeah, and he's just a big body that swings out next turn, essentially.
Yeah.
But yes, you can play out up to an Abado depending on how your trash is set up. But the fact that you get Digivolve, I think, is just busted. And you obviously run 4 of the Abado core. The neat choices that we see here are the Trident Arm and the Medieval Gallant. I think just for additional ways of removal, you do have the potential to put out a decent amount of bodies with this deck, with playing Scatter out for low cost, the rarer cycling stuff out. So Medieval can become a pretty like feasible like condition to meet to delete stuff.
Yeah.
Trident Arm, the security effect is still really, really strong. I think in this meta too, with how many aces you see floating around and redirects, the fact that you can taunt something is actually really, really nice. You know, it's
Yeah.
still an expensive option card that I don't think you necessarily want to see a lot of in your hand. But having it out of security is always a blessing, and sometimes in the right scenario, a 6-drop just to say, look, I'm going to taunt you and ace play can be pretty nice too. And then the Garnet, I'm assuming there is just so that you can potentially pick up Medieval. And if you don't see Medieval, you just pick up your Digimon. That's my assumption there.
Yeah.
And then Ty rounds it out with the Tamers. Some folks are running like a green-based Tamer where they're utilizing like Willis or the original Mimi Memory Tamer so that you have access to level 4 or level 5 green-black cards like Metal Tyranno from EX7, as well as the starter deck Rapidmon to get additional ways to play out level 5s or evo into level 5s that have Digivolve, immunity and whatnot to help you just hard evo your way up a line too, which has been interesting. So there's different ways you can mess around with this deck, but I think this is a very good starting point for those of you looking to get into the deck.
Yeah, I agree. I think even not even just a starting point. I think it's just a good list. I think that the risk with running some of the green stuff, and this is just me putting my 2 cents in because I'm a heckler. Is that I think just from my own personal testing, it's been very inconsistent.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
It is a fun tech choice. It's just because you have to meet so many specific requirements to make them work,
right?
Or have so much memory to make them work.
Right. Both level 5s are a 4-cost evo. They're sort of immunity / I believe even their Digivolve. I think Metal Tyranno, like you need a green Tamer in play for it to proc. So it's like there's, like you said, there's
Metal
a lot
Tyranno,
of conditions that need to be met.
You need to be suspended.
It needs to be suspended, and then and then the
Rapid you need to have the green Tamer on the board. Yeah.
So it's like there's a lot of different things that need to happen for it to actually make.
But if you get there, they are strong. If you get there, they are strong.
Yeah. So it's fun to test around.
Yes.
I think the engine is very strong. And I think people need to be aware of it moving into competitive season. Yeah,
for sure. I think Abado is actually a very good deck, and I just wanted to say that I just think this is solid in general. I do think Trident Arm is really strong. Just it's like a Laplas, but you get a little bit extra removal out of it too. So yeah. Alrighty. Well, that's gonna be us done. That's all the decks we got for you guys this week. Those are our 4. It's a little actually we're actually about on time. We're about on pace. We did pretty good. I think I was the most yappy. I apologize. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for hanging out. Again, members, thank you for supporting us. We appreciate you. If you folks who are seeing this video when it goes public, or just in general, think about maybe becoming a member, if you'd like. You get early access to these videos along with our members' first deck profiles, and other members' exclusive benefits. Along with we're going to be doing some gameplay streams where we'll play with our members and stuff like that. You get some extra perks, and we're always kind of chatting with our members as well, which is cool. Take a shot every time I said member. Don't do that. I shouldn't have said that. Don't do that.
Oh my lord!
Don't do that. But just in
Send
general,
people to the hospital.
thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And go ahead and take us out, Ben.
And hopefully we catch you on that flippy flip. Bye-bye.